Hey guys, and welcome to another episode. In this episode I am going to be installing a Quadlock Wireless weatherproof charger head to my Quadlock. So currently I've already got the USB version. I'm going to be taking that out. It's also on primary power at the moment. I'm going to actually relocate it so it works off ignition. So with the wireless unit sitting there, no one with a wireless thing can just come put their phone there and essentially charge their phone off my battery and drain it. Which means I've got to come down here and remove some of the stuff that I wired in previously and relocate up into here. Like I say, for now I'm just going to reuse this because the cables that come with it are just for USB. However, I'm planning to essentially remove this from service because it's not a cheap variant of a USB. So yeah, that's going to require me to disconnect the battery. So that's part of the plan. Disconnect the battery, hook all that up, and get that running as my unit for charging. So essentially the reason I did this, because I commute and even on longer rides, when I've ridden in the rain, having the cord and the poncho that Quadlock have, it blocks off the port underneath, and my iPhone numerous times has said unable to charge, detected water in the connector, so it won't charge, which then obviously, depending on how much charge is left on my phone to how successful or how long it will record the ride and everything like that. So my plan is essentially I can have the poncho on the phone, protecting it from the weather, charging wirelessly, and it should be the perfect solution to all of life's problems when it comes to motorbike riding, because all my Bluetooth headsets and stuff are providing me with the waterproof and everything, so I can listen to the tunes, everything like that. The only downside at this point was the little cables linking it into the battery. I also wasn't a huge fan. Originally I wired this into the primary, and it does frustrate me because if somebody knew, and they could plug in essentially any USB to here and essentially drain off my battery. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna run through today. It shouldn't take too long. So essentially this cable here, which I've run along here in its own conduit, is what we are needing to it's just an Anderson plug that links it in, so I'm going to keep that. I'm going to just relocate all of that up into here. So without further ado, I'm going to undo the fairing and get some exposure here to where I have some connectors and stuff behind here that I've already teed into before, and that was for this USB up here. So that runs at the moment off the battery, and when it's turned on, the rest of the time it's off, as you can see. So when it's off, that's no longer powering. However, I don't want to just run my lead for the Quadlock here because I want it to be permanent. I want it to look schmick. These are here for on a ride if I need to charge GoPro, my headset, any of those sorts of things. That's what these are for, on the fly, rather than something that's permanent, which is what the Quadlock is. So without further ado, I'll get into it and I'll stop rambling, which means I'm going to have to disconnect the battery, which means I'm going to have to reset the clock, and I'm going to lose all my trip meters, but that's the price we pay. is important with these to make note. Some of them are the same, some of them are longer. If you don't make note, you can end up putting in the wrong one, obviously, which isn't ideal. The cable protection, if you don't have it, you may end up regretting it. You may wish you'd done it for the small additional bit of cost, a bit of effort. It just protects it from the heat. Give you an idea, I've got a cable tie there, that's just to bulk it together and keep it somewhat trim, but using these also means you're not putting that cable tie and causing undue stress on the cable, because the cable's sitting freely there, so it's going to pinch the cable. The next, I guess, thing is to, in the kit, you get a whole bunch of different lengths of cables. All of them have a USB-C, and they've got a grommet system to make the sealing happen. And by sealing I mean sealing up, not sealing of the roof sealing. They're also nice enough to throw in a bunch of cable ties if you feel that you need them. So after all, my setup will completely change at this point, because the design of this one doesn't have the blue thing to release. This blue tab. Is there a right or wrong? No, it's probably going to purely come down to the cable. I'm going to want the little dot thingy up top. So finding sort of how that's going to sit, and apologise for the camera angles. If you've noticed mine, I've got this cocked across, and that's a little bit more about my own personal, let's be better that way, own personal preference, enabling me, so that's actually got the tension in it there. So the viewers at home, that is your blue button now on the wireless unit. Next thing, we need to find which cable is going to be nice. I think this is the smallest, and I believe we're going to find that's going to give me the best for this bike. So yeah, that USB-C is going to firmly go in. The blue push button one, I need to get a pair of snips. I'm not sure if I want to take it around this way. pair of side cutters or pliers of some sort. Got my cable ties from previous. Yeah. Put a link in the description for all the Quadlock gear. See if you're in the market and you're looking for, like I was saying, a system that will allow you to charge and protect you from the elements and what have you. I'll give you guys a view. So I just put a little bit of tape at the end to stop the split, because it's just split, which means you don't have to worry about the ends. Cutting an end and then having to fix it. Because I'm going to save a couple of bob. Use about that long. I just use side cutters to cut my conduit. And then essentially split it. I think by doing it this way, it just ends up looking just a bit neater once you're done. Particularly for exposed engine heat items, stuff like that. So that's pretty much it on. Get it down into there, move it around so it's sitting in the right channels. And then, because I've provided it with it, I just use one of their cable ties to anchor it loosely for now till I get tests done. So I found mine too that come up to this unit here, which I always generally try to leave just a little bit of excess for these sorts of things. So intermediate, this is sort of just going to get coiled up and sort of stuffed in there for now. Don't like coiling things up. But also because of the proprietary elements, especially with USB, you cut it, it can not end so well. So with USB, it's safer just to fry your gear, play it safe. And we are only talking 5 volts too, so it's minuscule. So essentially that's what I've got now. So I'm going to have my USB plug in, like so. And then my cables here, which I'm going to have to obviously cap these. Not over the moon about, but don't want the connections to be poor. So for those at home, I might have used these before. They're Crescent wire stripper, and they essentially make stripping cables a lot easier than trying to do it with a pair of pliers and the fiddliness that can entail. ex-electrician. Made my life a lot easier, doing switchboards and the like. This wanting to make sure I get a decent amount of exposure. It's important when you're placing things too to be aware of what's around it. So on this VFR we do have radiator cap here and radiator hoses, so it's going to be quite a hot zone, so just be mindful, and that's why I guess using these protections actually helps, because it provides an air pocket too for the cable and allows for heat dissipation. I'm just going to have to solder that. Punch a hole in the tape, essentially rendering it somewhat as a potential short or blowing the fuse. Although this one, because it's going to be switched anyway off the ignition, I'm not too concerned. Remembering I took out the fuse, make sure to put back in the fuse. I could go as far as adding in a little bit of corrugated in here protection, but there's already ECU equipment and stuff sitting in here with just the cables alone. So previously I didn't feel the need as such, so test run, that's hooked up now. Bit of flashing light, which I would say is the unit. Green is blue light now. Just gonna hit my phone and charging. Now push down on the plate. So that wobble that's happening there is a bit of a concern. Let's turn that off. It is a bit of a concern because every time I go to take it in or out, it's gonna bug me. But from a functional standpoint, we are functioning. So the stem mounts essentially just have a pin, so you take this one out, that comes off, this slides up, and then you've got down in here another Allen key, and that's what squeezes out. As you can see, there's still that bit of play. I'm just going to find what size it is and get my longer one. I believe it's 4mm. We can work that way. So if you have a look, my old man's one, he's gone just straight up. Whereas I decided on mine not to be covering the keys because it's frustrating enough with the keys as it is. So this little piece that goes in next has a through hole, and essentially that's what locks this in. And do that bit up. I find a lot of these, once you've set them and you've tightened it all up, you shouldn't really need to play too much more. For a while that's been a little bit wobbly, but that's all firm now. So hop on, phone in, locked in, push down, release, which is off. So guys, that's pretty much the install. Battery's about to die. I'm going to just for now jam this into there. I might put a tie or maybe tape that up just to provide a little bit of protection so it doesn't come undone, but I'll know that that essentially is the weak point at this point if I have any dramas. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, hit the thumbs up, send me a comment if you've got questions. Otherwise, all the links will be in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
I'm ready to just let you go away, like my friends think I should. Cause what if I just wanna be with you? I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do, but honestly I can't remember if you love me, or maybe I'm just feeling lonely, I don't know.